Hey everyone, it's Melissa Hurt of Integrative Studio, here with another video to help you become clear, productive, and influential. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to build your integrity. How to build your integrity. Your integrity is your character. It's your conviction. It's your strong sense of self. And sometimes we don't really feel very strong in that. We feel a little topsy-turvy in how we're handling situations. And I want you to feel clear in your heart and in your mind. So in this video, I'm going to talk about integrity and how to build it. Now, in my opinion, we live in three zones. We have our thoughts, we have our words, and we have our actions. And when there's a difference between what you think and what you say, well, then you know you feel a little out of alignment of what's good. You might even feel a little dishonest, like you're holding yourself back from being truthful with another person or about a situation. Similarly, if you say one thing but do another, that's a dishonest act. And so integrity is when we are in alignment with our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And it's really as simple as it sounds. It's just clearing the screen and being as simple with yourself on how you feel about something. So getting to the root of every situation and knowing where you stand within that situation. So this is coming into a lot of self-study and inner work. But ways that you can develop and build integrity is through being kind, being honest, and practicing contentment. So let me explain what that means. So we all know what it means to be kind. It's not harming yourself. It's not harming another person. Now, it might feel quite easy to be kind in our actions. We open the door for a stranger. We say thank you when someone does something nice. We might feel like it's easy to be kind in what we say. But are you kind when you're behind closed doors with a close friend? Meaning, are you gossiping about another person? Are you talking badly about another person? Are you being kind in your thoughts? So are you thinking things about other people or about situations or even about yourself that aren't kind? Are they harming you or other people in some way energetically? So I want you to flip the script on any of those if they are not kind. Now, it doesn't mean you have to always look at the sunny side of the street. Sometimes life is hard, and sometimes people are not being cool with how they're treating you. And it's okay to be honest about that. So an example that I have from my own life is I was just in a relationship very casually with some contractors who are working on some spaces below me. And they were very loud and playing the radio really loud and things like that. And so I can think thoughts like, man, these guys are total idiots. They're just, I could just say all these terrible things about them in my mind. Or I could flip the script and say, these guys don't understand that people work from home these days. So I'm hoping they can find compassion and realize that people work from home and that their loud radio isn't doing anybody any favors. Or I can be kind by advocating for myself to property management and say, did you know that the contractors are breaking, your guidelines by doing X, Y, and Z? And by disclosing these behaviors to property management, they now know who they've hired and if they choose to hire them in the future. So there are ways to follow through on a thought that might feel like it's rooted in anger or a negative emotion, but follow through in a way that it is an act of kindness because it's bringing a sense of enlightenment and maybe even a sense of compassion to some party so that the just and right action can happen. So being kind in thoughts and words and action is the first way to clear your heart, mind, and build integrity. Now let's talk about honesty. We want to be honest in all ways. Always tell the truth. Now, truth without compassion is cruelty. We do not want to be cruel people. So have compassion for the people you speak about and the people you're speaking to. We are all human beings, and I really believe we're all here trying to do our best. And sometimes we don't have much that we're working with, but we're still trying to make something good out of it. So keep that in mind and be honest in how you show up with other people. And so in the example of the contractors, I was honest in my exchange with them by keeping in my own lane, doing what I needed to do in my life, and letting them do what they needed to do in their life. I wasn't going to be dishonest and be like super chatty and getting into their work and, hey, what are you guys doing? And things like that, because that wouldn't have felt in alignment with my heart. I wasn't really in a positive place with them. But I decided to have honesty in my actions by just staying in my own lane and living my life and letting them do their work. Because the sooner I could stay out of their hair and let them do the work, the sooner they could be finished and moved on to the next project. Can you be honest without being cruel? So finding all the shades of gray between those black and white statements will help you to build integrity. And then my third rule for how to build integrity is to practice contentment. So contentment means that you are satisfied with what you have. And it's finding that Goldilocks just right. Now, sometimes we feel like we want more and more and more and more. And I invite you to get to the root of why. Is there a scarcity mindset at play? Is there a fear of not having enough or not being enough? Get to the root of that to then explore why contentment might be a difficult practice for you. But contentment means that you're practicing gratitude. For the meal you have in front of you, give thanks, not just for the food in front of you, but for all the farmers that put in the work to create that meal, for the clerk who sold it to you, all the things that go along that assembly line chain to bring the food to your table. Practice contentment for all of that work, and content that you have enough right now. Now, obviously, we know there are people, and you might be one of them, who are in poverty in a really hard context. And again, there are resources out there that can be available to help you, and find contentment in knowing that they're out there and seek them out because they are there to help you. Food pantries and things like that. So I'm going to give an example of how to put these three together in practice. And this might seem like a silly example, but it really applies to all areas of life. So imagine that you're at a restaurant buffet. Now, if you're like me, your eyes light up when you see a restaurant buffet. You're like, ooh, all the options. And it's very exciting because you didn't cook any of it and you're not cleaning up any of it. So there's also the joy of that. But can you practice kindness by knowing there are other people here who want to also enjoy the buffet? So it doesn't do me any favors or them any favors to try to hoard all the food for myself. You can practice kindness by keeping areas tidy so the next person can go to the dish and have a tidy place to serve themselves instead of slopping the food all over the perimeter and making it gross for the next person. So practicing kindness in a buffet is being courteous to other people, being courteous to the staff who are bringing out more food, saying thank you to them for bringing out more food, being patient when a popular dish is still on the stove and they have to replenish it. Be patient with it and practice kindness for the staff when they do bring it. But it's also practicing kindness for yourself, because if you eat too much of that food, you know you will not feel well. So again, you can see how this is circling all through honesty and contentment. You take what you need and no more. Be honest with what's an appropriate amount of food for you. Be honest with the dishes you like. And if you see a dish on the buffet that has all the ingredients that you know you don't enjoy, that has mushrooms and peppers and you don't like those foods, don't grab it. Just be honest and say, you know what? I appreciate that, but it's not for me. And move on to the next dish. And then lastly, practice contentment for what you've been able to put on your plate. And when you're satisfied, when your stomach signals that you are done eating, even though you see more food and your mind says, no, I want more food, don't hoard it. Just practice contentment to know that you are satisfied and that you can find gratitude for that. Now, this is a metaphor for life, of course. How can you share space with other people, being courteous and kind to them, and also be kind for what you know are your inherent needs? How can you be honest with what you really need in your relationships and voice them in a way that is not cruel, but just honest and clear? And then how can you practice contentment every day for what you're able to do, for the energy you put out, and practice contentment for the energy that comes back to you? And when you can put all of these three in flux together in alignment, you are building integrity. You are strengthening your character and having a place of conviction in how you show up in the world. So I want to hear from you. Put in the comments below, which of these three do you feel are the most important for you to start right now? Kindness, honesty, or contentment? And let's start a conversation about it. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can be first in line to be clear, productive, and influential. Thanks.